Jurgen, Tack, welcome to the forum, the 18th forum, so it's coming of age. And of course, you are the Secretary General of the European Landowners Organisation, the ELO, a founding partner of the forum. And you are a man known for bringing your props to the stage at the forum. What did you bring this year?
Well, let's say 3 colors on a rope, green, yellow and red to represent nature, agriculture, and the urban environment, and to give a short history on how, let's say, all of those 3 elements evolved through time.
I mean, that's the whole of civilization in what, a minute or so? So what was your underlying message? How did you do it that quickly?
Well, let's say I wanted to show that, let's say, the changes in the total surface of nature and agriculture evolved quite considerably. But if we compare the present day situation with the period at the end of the Roman Empire, let's say the amount of nature, the area of nature we have in Europe is more or less the same. The area of agriculture shrinked enormously because on the other side, the urban environment went up from 3–4% in Roman times up to 20% today.
So how did you then tie it into our theme for your panel, which was CAP and land use and the governance that's needed to deliver it?
What I wanted to show is that, let's say, we have had those fluctuations in land area already before CAP, of course. But let's say since CAP, we have seen that, let's say, there is a significant decrease in agricultural land. Let's say it's a decrease of a little bit more than 30%. And in reality, we have lost the total surface of France and Germany on agricultural land since '62.
So you had DG Agri on the panel with you, amongst others, experts in the areas of agriculture and environment. What did you hear that you agreed with? What did you hear that you disagreed with? What did you learn that was new today?
Well, let's say there is, from within the Commission, and because of the views of Commissioner Hansen, a very strong support for young farmers. And there is absolutely a need to support those young farmers, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we are not presenting agriculture to them in a way that looks as a promising future. They are young today, but let's say if you're giving extra subsidies to young farmers, they have to realize that sooner or later they will become an old farmer and not having the same subsidies anymore. And that makes that we have to give them an honest future so that they can make a decision in function of, let's say, the total knowledge they need.
Two things, of course, are true, that agriculture is part of the problem and it can be part of the solution. You made the point about shrinking land and still having to produce more with less to feed a growing population. But we still have the problem of greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, that figure through all the 18 years and more of the forum has not changed. 11% of all greenhouse gas emissions in Europe are from agriculture. That isn't falling, and I wonder how you feel progress has potentially slowed, and why. Is that the lack of governance? Is that the shocks to the system that we see at the moment? Where would you put your finger on that one?
It's a difficult one. I do think we still have quite some opportunities within agriculture to improve. Now, on the other side, if we look at what is happening in the world in the past couple of weeks, it's becoming more and more difficult to explain people that they have to make sure that the carbon dioxide is not coming into the air while the whole Middle East is on fire and where the amount of carbon dioxide which is brought into the air is enormous. Yeah, it's about priorities.
Yeah. One other thing that we often talk about at the forum, and I know you have a view about, is trying to be clever about things like carbon farming, carbon markets. You've said before they're too complicated. Often good ideas can get complicated into failure. With nature credits, are we seeing maybe the same mistakes not being repeated?
I'm afraid it's a little bit the opposite. I'm seeing the same mistakes repeated again. Yeah, that is absolutely a concern, because we truly believe that a payment for an ecosystem service is absolutely part of the solution. And let's say with carbon, we had a first try and a first possibility. With nature credits, we have another one. We do see that, we heard it from Kurt van den Berge, that the Commission is trying to organize this in a very strict way. Well, I think this is only going to succeed when you have a really free market for those certificates.
Mm. And I'm sure you did talk about the cap, the reform.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this? You know, step forward, policy disaster, because it's going to be merged into the single fund, and surely for landowners and farmers that's unpopular.
No, that's absolutely unpopular. Let's say the problem with the single fund is that it are not going to be the ministers of agriculture anymore who are deciding. It will be the prime minister sitting around the table, and they will certainly have other priorities than only agriculture. So that is already a first problem. Now, the way that we see that, let's say, the common agriculture policy through national plans is going more and more back into the hands of national EU member states, that too is problematic, because, let's say, what was once a common policy is more and more an uncommon policy.
Mm. So where do you stand on the scale of being optimistic, pessimistic, feeling those sort of pressures? Give us one last message, a call to action to leave the 18th Forum with.
Well, let's say I've always been an optimist, and I hope I'm able to stay an optimist, otherwise I have to stop, I think. Let's say I do hope that, let's say, the simplification packages are going deep enough that we are really seeing that this is actually helping the farmers to go back to their fields instead of fulfilling all kinds of rules and administrative forms.
Yeah, well, on that note, Jurgen Tack, thank you very much for joining us today.
Very much welcome.